all aspects of affirmative action. I admit. Hi, I'm Craig, and this is Crash Course Government and Politics, and today I'm going to finish up our episodes on civil rights by talking about affirmative action. There's a few things I'm not going to do in this episode, though. First, I'm not going to try to defend all aspects of affirmative action. I admit it's a problematic concept. Second, I'm not going to say that affirmative action isn't necessary, or that it's racist. I'm pretty sure that that debate will go on in the comments. What I am going to do is define affirmative action, describe how the courts have dealt with it, and try to explain why it's existed and continues to exist. So let's start with the easy part and define affirmative action. Affirmative action is a government or private program designed to redress historic injustices against specific groups by making special efforts to provide members of these groups with access to educational and employment opportunities. I like this definition because it also explains why affirmative action exists, to redress historic injustices, which means discrimination. The key aspect of affirmative action is that it provides special access to opportunities, usually in education and employment, to members of groups that have been discriminated against. Now, where affirmative action gets controversial is when you look at the two ideas of access and opportunity.
Okay, hi everyone, and let me go to the, well, nobody else yet is in the classroom, so this just might be you and me on the internet. So let me go to smart attendance so that I don't forget to do that, and we do start attendance, and your smart attendance number is 764. Here's your smart attendance number, so let me put that into the chat. And go here, go to chatting, 764, right in 764 here, and there you go. Okay, so, all right, so that's your smart attendance number, and let me see to go on here with what we're covering for this rest of this class. So this is our short class, of course, so we have to make sure we have enough time for the debate, for the in-class debate. And I just sent you an email message, of course, half an hour ago, reminding you to sign up for a debate, a student-to-student debate, for some point between now and the end of the semester, okay? So that the Google Drive, let me see if I can do that right now. So go to my Google account. You go here, make sure you're able to see this, of course. I always remember to share the screen. So I go to here, and I go here, this out of the way, go here, go to Drive, and then you can see where you have, if you weren't aware of it already from last class, where you would sign up for a debate. And one person has so far signed up for the debate. So the other student should also sign up for a debate, okay? And all right, so and let's continue with our discussion of the federal bureaucracy, and remind myself of where we and its relationship to interest groups. So interest groups and the federal bureaucracy are very important because, of course, the bureaucracy in the government, both in the executive branch and in the legislative branch, they cannot undertake their actions of monitoring and governing and implementing the laws of the United States without interacting with society, with the American public. And who represents the American public? Who speaks for the American public? Nobody's officially designated to speak for the American public except perhaps the elected government officials. But in terms of all of the economic interests and civil society interests confronting American society, these federal bureaucrats, overwhelmingly in the executive branch, want to speak to interest groups. And last week we covered how, last class I should say, on Monday, we covered how the U.S. Constitution, including the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights, makes legal and even uplifts the rights of Americans as citizens in a republic to come together and basically form interest groups and bring their resources together, including their economic resources as well as their voting capabilities as citizens who vote in elections, to try to persuade government officials and representatives of the executive branch, including bureaucrats, to address their concerns, to gain redress of grievances, as we called it in the Constitution, in that old language of 240 years ago. And And so that's maybe an important point to highlight here, that if you were to ask me, what is the one fundamental, basic, general feature that describes what modern politics is, the essence of modern politics in modern society among human beings, it's the desire of more and more of the people to participate in politics, to participate in making government policy and determining who their leaders are, as if it's their obligation and their right to participate in running and governing their society. So this participation, this expanding demand of the people within societies to participate in politics because they've become aware of politics. I mean, I feel awkward going over these topics because I cover them in other classes, and so I'm always concerned that I'm kind of boring some students because I've covered this in other classes. But it's a critically important point. You know, here we have Micah here from Germany. So Micah's from Germany, and of course, or me from the United States. But my ancestors come from Italy and Denmark. Let's pick on Italy, right? You ask somebody, if I were to go to Italy, an obvious American, or Micah were to go to Italy as an obvious somebody who's obviously not Italian, and were to go up to somebody and ask them in English or German or any language or Italian, and ask them, who are you? Somebody in Italy. If they go onto the street, they go to Rome, they land at Fiumicino Airport, they leave the airport, they go to downtown Rome, and they run up to somebody and they ask, who are you? And of course, this person can see that I'm clearly not an Italian. They'll say, well, I'm Italian. Who are you? But would they have said that 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago? Rome, of course, was a very different place 500 years ago, and they would not have said, I'm Italian. Italy was a concept that certain elites held going all the way back to the Roman Empire, right? Italia was a diocese in the Roman Empire. So the ruling elite in Rome, in a very tiny section of society, they knew what Italy was. But today, 99.9% of people who are adults in Italy who are politically cognizant, they know what Italy is. They know what Germany is, they know what France is, they know what the United States is, they know what Russia is, and they probably now know what Ukraine is. And that means once people become aware of the fact that the world is made by other human beings, that the world changes. Now, you may say, that sounds cute. You have to keep in mind, I'm sorry, I can't avoid it, right? Since this class is about a country founded by founded by European immigrants, America was a country born modern. People, except for the Africans who were bought and enslaved and brought to America, everybody who went to America chose to go there. They knew America was there. They knew or believed that they could change their status and condition in society through their own actions. The world can change. Your world, my world can change through our actions. I can become more prosperous. I can become more wealthy. I can gain higher status. I can improve my life. I can change and improve my life through my actions and the actions of other people who are doing this as well. And this is the essence of modernity. What does it mean to be modern? You are aware of the fact that the world changes and human beings make it change. That's it. 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, in what we call Polska or Korea or Germany or Italy, your typical person living in some village somewhere up in the mountains in Italy wouldn't have known what Italy is. They would only know their village and the surrounding territory. Keep that in mind, right? 80%, if not more, of people who were born during what we call the Middle Ages, before the modern times, they were born and raised and they died, and they never went more than 10 kilometers away from their birthplace their whole life. Can you imagine that? The overwhelming majority of people would never go more than 10 kilometers from the place they were born their entire life. They were illiterate, they were poverty-stricken. Illiterate means they could not read and write. They had a church probably, and they had a priest, and the priest may well be able to read and write. And that priest had a lot of authority because that priest had this magical ability to open up this thing called a Bible and read it and interpret the will of God for them. But the point is that in old traditional societies, your status and position in society is assumed to be the will of God. It doesn't change. You're born a peasant girl, and you will have peasant children. You will marry a peasant, and you're always peasants. And me, I'm Mr. Baker. I'm the baker's family. We're the baker in the village. And like my father was a baker, I'm a baker, my son will be a baker. We're the bakers. Or the smiths, working with iron. Or the Fletchers, who put feathers on arrows to fletch an arrow. Or the tailors. And God wants this. And this is believed to be unchanging. My status in this world, my degree of honor and respect in this world depends upon my birth. Not what I do, my birth. I'm born a peasant, I'm a peasant. If I'm born a prince, I'm a prince, and I might become king. And God wants it that way. God made everything, like he made the sun, the clouds, the mountains, the earth, the winter, the spring, the summer, and the fall, the rain, the sunshine. God also made me a serf, you a duke, a lord, and the king. In other words, your status is ascribed. You don't earn your status. You don't increase or lower your status through your efforts, through your own actions. Your status is ascribed to you when you're born, and that's it. And God wants it this way. But of course, the world always is changing, but the pace of change in society becomes faster and faster and faster and faster, along with economic change happening faster and faster and faster and faster. And the point is, society's changing, and now people can see it. They can see this change happening. That some people who were traditionally always the Baker family, who had this typical lifestyle of being the Baker family for many generations, now they found a way to sell more bread to the army that opened there's a military base, a garrison that opened close by, and the baker's making lots more money now because he's selling bread to those army the army detachment that the king sent. Oh, and look at the baker, he's making a lot more money, and now the lords and dukes and priests, they're paying him more attention and giving him more respect because he's got more money. And so once you become aware of the fact that the world changes by human action, human decisions, human behavior, status, your degree of respect, or my degree of respect I receive from you and everybody around me depends upon the perceived degree of achievement. What have I done? Am I making lots of money? Do I have lots of education? Do I have lots of influence? So in modern societies, in the ideal typical vision, it's not perfect, but the ideal typical version, the Max Weberian perspective, because again, this Max Weber comes up, the ideal typical vision is a society in which status is completely based upon achievement, perceived achievement. And once this shift from ascription to achievement as the basis of status emerges, people want to participate in politics because they want to participate in making the rules that determine what I can and can't do to improve my status and improve the conditions of my family and improve the conditions of people like me who are Catholics or Protestants or Jews or whatever. And they want to participate in deciding who rules over them, who makes the decisions of what the laws are. And so America was a country born modern because it was populated by Europeans who chose to go there and improve their condition, change their condition by improving it. So why is this important? It's important because and so you want to participate in politics, is what I'm saying. That's perhaps the most significant aspect of modernity is that the increasingly large section of the adult population, they want to participate in making policies and in determining who rules over them. And so participation is really maybe the essence of modern politics. And that means, you know, demanding, well, representative leaders, leaders that represent me, leaders that deserve to be in power, not because they are born in power necessarily, because their father was the king, so their son is going to become the king when the father dies. That's not necessarily good enough anymore. And so people want to participate. There are different ways to participate. Of course, the most obvious ways is voting, right? People vote in elections. That's one way by which the authorities attempt to persuade you that, okay, Ben, or okay, Micah, see, you have the right to vote. Now, be good and obey me, the ruler, the government, when I tell you what to do, because I was democratically elected, and therefore I have the right to tell you what to do. Pay your taxes. Send your son to the army to go fight, maybe die in a war. And you believe that, oh yeah, well, I must do that, or I should do that, even if I don't, because Ben represents the people of Germany, or Ben represents the people, the citizens of Poland, or Ben represents the citizens of America. How do you know we represent? Because we had national elections, and he won. But there are other forms of participation as well. That's the point I'm trying to get to. You can participate in politics in terms of shaping the policies and the behaviors of the authorities by engaging in writing and communicating with your Congress people, your presidents, your prime ministers, and their parties. You can become an activist, maybe join the Democratic Party and spend time and effort and even some money volunteering to organize a Democratic or Republican Party caucus. As you're going to read about in the next part of the reading, you're going to read about the 2020 elections and the important role that that party activists play in the American primary process of selecting who's going to be the Democratic candidate for president and who's going to be the Republican candidate for president. Very much relies on the role of enthusiasts and activists who are really enthusiastic and concerned and intensely interested in participating in politics. There are, again, also other forms of these are non-governmental organization activists, right? These are interest group activists. Partisan activists, of course, people that join political parties, you know, and join the, like in college, right? The Young Republicans is the National Republican Party college organization for college students in American colleges and universities who are interested in partisan participation as activists, and they may well start their political professional career by joining the local campus at Ohio State, a Young Republican chapter of the at Ohio State University, or there's a Democratic Party counterpart to that as well. You can run for office. You know, and there are thousands and thousands of offices, tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of political offices in the United States, reflecting the 80,000 different elected governments, local, state, and national in the United States. And that's another way to participate. Of course, another way to participate is to be a revolutionary, right? To riot, engage in civil disobedience. You know, that's a form of participation, challenging the legal authority if the legal authority is, in your view, unfair and wrong. Or, you know, even, of course, undertaking violence, like the national liberation struggle to break up the Ottoman Empire or the German Empire and free Poland after being subjugated for 130 years at the end of the 18th century. Communicators were highlighted as voters, contact specialists, that should be contact specialists, people who contact local state officials on particular problems. And this is what different groups do. But you're more effective in participating if you bring together your resources as individuals to claim we represent the National Association of Manufacturers, one of the interest groups we began to talk about last class. So we speak for the manufacturers of America. So I want to ask you the federal bureaucrat in charge of regulating fossil fuels or steel production or any degree, would you please listen to us as we make a recommendation request for you to hear our needs? And of course, we expect you to respond because you represent a democratically elected authority, government, and you're supposed to listen to us. You might not do what we want you to do, but you at least have to listen. And of course, if you are one of these elected officials, you are much more likely to pay attention because you need me to help you get elected and keep your job if you're a congressman or a senator or a governor. And all of these different offices are becoming more and more political in the United States. We covered how the amendment to the Hatch Act in 1993 now allows federal bureaucrats, federal civil servants to run for quote unquote nonpartisan elections. So that typically used to mean, like the example I highlighted last class, that you might be, you might work for the Defense Department, one of the almost 2 million people who are civilians who work for the who work for the federal government, and you work as a civilian in the Treasury Department or the Defense Department, and you have a home, you have a Jeep, and you live in a neighborhood, and your children go to school, and you're concerned about the local schools and how well they're doing. So you want to run for school board and join the board of elected officials that are supposed to oversee the local school system. Until the 1993 amendment to the Hatch Act, you were not allowed to do that, which you could say is unfortunate because the kind of people that work in the federal government, typically they have college degrees, and by definition, they are interested in current affairs and public policy because they work in the government. So the decision was made that, we should let these people run for nonpartisan offices, particularly like school boards. And that's a good thing, right? Because people who are federal bureaucrats, they're smarter and they're intelligent and they're educated, and they, have something to offer in terms of understanding the needs of our children to be educated, to get good jobs and make a contribution to American society and make America strong. But now even those jobs are becoming partisan. So for example, if we look here at a kind of a shocking experience, parents protest school mask mandate, shouting, "We will not comply," at school board members in a place called Williams County, Tennessee. So this is somewhere, I think, outside of Nashville, where I went for this conference last month. And the school board decided, because of the pandemic, that the children and the teachers should wear this, right? But it's become very politicized, partly because of this suspicion that on the part of the anti-mask protesters, that this evil big government is attempting to spread its control over us, to control us. By now they're telling us how we have to take care of our children. Oh my God! You mean the government is going to tell me, a parent, that I have to make my child wear a mask? It's my responsibility. The government is not supposed to interfere with how I raise my family. And this became a very popular, controversial video, right?
And everybody's taking notes, buddy. Keep that little smug.
Put it back on. Put your mask on.
Kids sucking that bacteria. How you like
Put your mask on.
Then we know who you are. We know who you are. No more masks.
Keep it calm. Keep it calm.
No more masks.
We're on these guys' side. They're on
No,
our side.
no, they're not. They're not on our side.
The police are on our side. The police are on our side. Let's calm down.
Yes.
Calm down.
We
know who you
know
are.
who you are.
We know
We
who
know
you
who you are.
You can leave
We
freely,
know who you are.
but we will find you, and we know
You will
who you
never
are.
be allowed in
We know
public
who you
again.
are.
You will never be allowed.
I know
You never
who
let
you
us be
are.
allowed in public
I know
again.
who you are. I know who you are. Let him out. Let's let him out.
Whoa! You better watch out. You better watch out.
Keep it
You better watch out.
Keep it calm. Everybody back up, please. Everybody back up. Back up, back up. I'm back, man. I'm on your side. Please, back up. I'm a parent. Get out. Give me a lane. Hey, watch out. Watch out. You're good.
Peace. Peace. Be easy.
Everyone.
Peace. Peace. Peace, but we know who you are. You know who you are. You.
Professor, I'm not sure if you're saying something right now, but there's no sound for people online, just to let you know.
hear? Shit. I forgot to turn on the microphone. Can you hear me now? Okay, yeah, now you can.
Yes.
I forgot to, turned off the microphone and I fucking, sorry about that. I don't know how much you didn't hear. Oh gosh. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I was afraid about the reverberation, so that the, okay. Okay, so we go to the breakout rooms and two, and we go like this, and then we go pro, and then we go con here. Keep that in mind. Never turn off the microphone. Okay. And then open the groups. And so please join the groups that you belong to. So Anais, are you pro or con? Okay. Chung Jujin, are you pro or con? Kim Pyong-ku, are you pro or con?
I'm pro.
Okay. Micah, pro or con? On the debate topic. Micah?
Yes. I think I was pro, yes.
Okay, you're pro. Okay, so the pro. And Lee Ju-young, pro or con?
Con.
Okay, and Joe Jin, pro or con?
Pro.
Okay, who else is, anybody else con? It's just Lee Ju-young is con and everybody else is pro? Kim Byung-gu, are you a pro or con?
I'm pro.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Never turn off the microphone because you'll forget to turn it back on. Okay, so let me shut down this class. And